Welcome back. In this video, we will explain The Dude in Me. This movie tells the story of a weak high school student and a mighty gangster who accidentally exchange bodies. Will they be able to return to their respective bodies? Let's find out in The Dude in Me. In the beginning, we are introduced to Pan-soo, his lavish lifestyle and his loveless marriage to Seo-yeon. Pan-soo only married her because her father, Mr. Han, is the president of the Hanwoo Group and an influential man. Seo-yeon is rich and spoiled and hasn't worked a day in her life, but she still feels entitled to her husband and father's money. She complains that her father is refusing to buy her a gallery that she really wants. Pan-soo does dirty jobs because he is a big mafia figure in his city. In the office, he is informed of a carpenter who is refusing to evacuate his shop that needs to be destroyed for Pan-soo's next project. To get the job done, he invites his right-hand man, Mr. Manchol, and asks him to get the carpenter out, one way or another. Arriving at the factory, Manchol meets the factory owner. Meanwhile, the carpenter Jong-ki is nervous, knowing that the thugs will use force to make him evacuate. His fears become reality when Mr. Manchol threatens to cut his arm off if he doesn't sign the papers. With no way out, the poor man gives up his shop. After getting what they wanted, Manchol and his men leave with happy faces. In the following scene, we are introduced to Pan-soo's business rival, Mr. Yang. The two meet at a restaurant and get into an argument about business. From the look on Pan-soo's face, it is clear that he doesn't like boss Yang's presence, even though they work under the same mafia organization. It is evident that Yang is only looking for the right opportunity to murder Pan-soo and take over his business. The two of them are fighting over the position of mafia leader in their organization, a position currently occupied by Pan-soo's father-in-law. Sometime later, Pan-soo decides to go to an old ramen shop that used to be his favorite restaurant. At the same time, a high school student named Dong-hyun is also enjoying the noodles. Dong-hyun tries to pay but realizes he forgot his wallet. When he apologizes to the restaurant's owner, she forgives him and claims that Pan-soo will pay for him out of generosity. Although a bit annoyed at paying for food that was not his, Pan-soo finally complies with the old woman's request. He doesn't mind paying for the kid even though he ate 4 bowls of ramen. Dong-hyun immediately thanks Pan-soo, a stranger he didn't know. After paying, the old woman says that Pan-soo will get a gift later. Moments after eating at the noodle shop, Dong-hyun is already on the roof of his school building, which is located nearby. He is trying to retrieve a shoe stuck in the TV antenna on the roof. It turns out that Dong-hyun is being bullied by his classmates, which is why one of his shoes is stuck in the antenna. Tiptoeing on one foot, he tries to reach his shoe. As he tries to grab it, he loses his balance and falls on top of Pan-soo, who happens to be standing right below. When Pan-soo opens his eyes, he finds himself on a hospital bed. A young nurse calls him a student and speaks to him informally. Confused, he walks outside and is horrified to see his own body lying on another hospital bed. After thinking for a moment, he realizes that his body and soul have been swapped with Dong-hyun's. Before he can react, the carpenter Jong-ki launches at him, calling him his son. A confused Pan-soo looks into the mirror and finally realizes that he has swapped bodies with the shy kid from earlier. Coincidentally, Jong-ki, whom he threatened to kill the previous day, is Dong-hyun's father. When Pan-soo acts differently than usual and refuses to recognize his father, the doctor declares that he has something called retrograde amnesia. Pan-soo then recollects what the restaurant owner told him earlier and runs to meet her again. However, by then the restaurant is closed and the woman is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, his rival Yang hears the news about him being in a coma. He is over the moon and plans to take advantage of the situation to kill Pan-soo. At night, Pan-soo returns home to his wife, who thinks he is an intruder. He tries to explain the situation, but Seo-yeon calls security and has them kick him out of the house. He is then taken to the police station and accused of trespassing. His poor father is distressed because of his outrageous behavior. In the following scene, Pan-soo tries to wake up his body that is in a coma. Desperate to get his body back, he jumps on top of Dong-hyun. Just then, his right-hand man, Mr. Manchol, enters the room and stops him. Pan-soo tries to make him understand that he is trapped in a kid's body, but Manchol thinks he is bluffing and kicks him out of the room. After that, Pan-soo has no other choice. He is forced to go home with Dong-hyun's father and live the life of a high school boy. The place is too small for his liking, but he has 100 more problems to tend to. Jong-ki cooks him a plethora of dishes to accelerate his recovery. Initially, Pan-soo says that he doesn't eat like a glutton, but a while later the plates are all empty. He realizes that even though his mind is different, he is still in Dong-hyun's body, which affects his appetite. The next day, Pan-soo goes to school with his father. There, his father asks the principal about his son's case, mentioning that he was often bullied until he fell from the roof of the building. However, the principal does not provide clarity about the case. Pan-soo sees through his lies and is determined to find out what exactly caused the accident. As soon as he enters the classroom, a group of boys make fun of him and flip him off. Pan-soo, currently in Dong-hain's body, realizes that Dong-hain is often bullied by his classmates. During the lunch break, a girl named Hyun-jung is also being bullied by the popular kids. They mix her food with a cold drink and make her eat it. Eventually, they dump the entire plate of food on her. Pan-soo calls them out for it, angering the leader of the bullies, Tae-wook. Before Pan-soo can showcase his fighting skills, the teachers arrive and Tae-wook has to retreat. After school, the bullies stop Pan-soo again and try to intimidate him. Pan-soo is taken to the back of the school by some of his classmates. In turn, he slaps them all with zero effort. His classmates are shocked to see Dong-haen daring to fight back. Later that day, the bullies trouble another guy in the washroom. Just then, Pan-soo comes out from a stall and defends his seatmate. He easily beats the bullies one by one. He also takes Tae-wook's phone away, promising to return it the next day. The bullies are so scared that they let him do whatever he wants. Later at home, while going through the phone, Pan-soo sees a video of the day the accident took place. It is revealed that Tae-wook and his group had bullied Dong-haen into getting on the edge, leading to his fall and the subsequent body exchange. The next day, Tae-wook's leader is beating him up for giving Pan-soo his phone that has the video on it. Pan-soo arrives and kindly, yet threateningly, tells the bullying students that he would not hesitate to bring the videotape evidence to the police if it happened again. The bully has no choice but to agree. Meanwhile, Pan-soo's wife, Seo-yeon, takes advantage of her husband's comatose state and starts dating younger men. Pan-soo's rival Mr. Yang gets wind of this and blackmails her into joining forces with him. Together, they plan Pan-soo's downfall. That night, Pan-soo goes to the hospital and meets Mr. Man-chol. He tells Man-chol everything about his past and proves his identity. Man-chol is surprised because the person who claims to be Pan-soo looks like a high school student. At first, Man-chol doesn't recognize Pan-soo, but after a tough conversation, Man-chol realizes that the high school student sitting in front of him is indeed Pan-soo, his boss. The following day, Hyun-jung bumps into Pan-soo and drops her stuffed toy. He follows her to return it and happens to meet her mother, My-sun. To Pan-soo's utter shock, My-sun is his first love, whom he left to marry his current wife. He calls her by her first name, surprising My-sun. After Pan-soo runs away, he remembers how he and My-sun used to spend their days together when they were young. Suspecting that Hyun-jung might be his biological daughter, Pan-soo grabs Hyun-jung's hair for a parental DNA test. He then tells Man-chol to come to the hospital and take his real hair from his comatose body. The results come out and Pan-soo finds out that Hyun-jung is indeed his daughter. Knowing this, his father's soul emerges. He often saw that Hyun-jung was bullied for not having a father. Following this revelation, he goes to meet My-sun and subtly asks her about her life. She tells him that she raised Hyun-jung all on her own because her father was not a good person. Pan-soo feels awful that the people he loves had to go through so much because of his absence. Elsewhere, his current wife, Seo-yeon, goes to her father with fake reports of Pan-soo misusing the company's money. In reality, she was told to do so by Pan-soo's rival, Mr. Yang. Her father believes her and starts to consider removing Pan-soo from the company once he gets out of the coma. Feeling vengeful, Pan-soo tells Man-chol to break the legs of the high school kids who have bullied Hyun-jung. However, Man-chol refuses because he doesn't want to deal with the police. Pan-soo then uses other methods to help his daughter fight against the bullying at school. He invites Hyun-jung to train at a fitness center to defend herself. Pan-soo also goes there to lose weight and to get closer to his daughter, who is learning self-defense at the same institution. Initially, she is skeptical and is about to leave, but Mr. Man-chol pretends to be the instructor and convinces her to stay. Starting that day, the father and daughter train together and begin getting along well. Eventually, Pan-soo loses weight and transforms into an ideal, athletic body. With a drastically changed appearance, Pan-soo becomes the center of attention at school, like an idol artist. During the lunch break, Hyun-jung's bullies stop her again. But this time, she teaches them a lesson and defends herself efficiently. The other students are stunned to witness her newfound confidence. One day, Pan-soo stops by Hyun-jung's house after school. He sees photos of his daughter there and feels sad because he could not accompany her as she grew up. He then secretly takes photos of her through his cell phone camera. One night, Dong-haen's father walks through a lonely alley near his house. Unfortunately, in the middle of the road, he is confronted by a group of thugs who demand money. Pan-soo comes to his defense when his father is about to be attacked by the group. However, the situation takes a turn for the worse as his father, who can't fight, hugs Pan-soo to protect him from the thugs' attacks, preventing Pan-soo from effectively defending them. The next day, Pan-soo orders Man-chol to send his men to raid the thugs' headquarters. With his martial arts skills and ruthless nature, the thugs there do not dare to fight back against Man-chol and his men. That evening, Pan-soo goes to My-sun's restaurant again. While talking, she mentions her former lover, who she wishes she had killed. Pan-soo realizes she is talking about him and chokes on water. Suddenly, one of her male customers pats her butt and teases her. An enraged Pansu asks her to go inside and fights the perverts. My son suddenly stops him, inquiring why he is acting out of character. Pansu sits her down and finally tells her everything about switching bodies with Dong Hyun. Initially, she doesn't believe him, but Pansu challenges her to ask him anything that only he would know. When he answers all the questions correctly, my son is in shock. Still, she asks him to go away from their lives as he did all those years ago. A flashback shows us young my son and Pansu meeting for the last time. He rudely informed her that he was getting married to his boss's daughter and asked my son to forget him. The following day, a popular guy from the school named Minho invites Hyun Jung to his birthday party. Hyun Jung, who has never been called to a party, excitedly agrees to come, unaware of Minho's actual intentions. After that, Pansu and my son meet at a restaurant where she bluntly tells him that she doesn't want him in their lives. He tries to win her over and kisses her in front of everyone. The people around them are shocked because to them, Pansu is half of my son's age. She pushes him away and slaps him in the face. Still, Pansu doesn't stop and follows her outside. Suddenly, he gets a call from his friend who informs him about the bully's plan to trouble Han Jung at the party. Pansu quickly rushes to the party and arrives to see Minho pouring a bowl of alcohol on Hyun Jung. Angered to see his daughter crying, he fights all of the guys who are surrounding her. The girls who witness the fight fall head over heels for him. Hyun Jung also takes a stand against Minho and kicks him into the pool. And after that, the father and daughter leave. The following day, Mr. Manchol informs Pansu that his wife, Seo Yeon, is having an affair and conspiring to remove him from Hano's list of potential heirs. Hearing this, Pansu asks Manchol to send a letter to his father-in-law, the head of the mafia. Later that day, Pansu is walking down the street when one of the girls from his class asks him out. He claims that he doesn't date schoolgirls. Right after, Hyun Jung arrives and asks him the same question. Horrified, Pansu tells her that he can never date her and walks away. The scene switches to Boss Yang, who is visiting Pansu in the hospital room where his body is in a coma. Boss Yang comes there with the intent to kill him, but suddenly Pansu's body awakens from the coma. Boss Yang looks shocked and panicked, and he falls and then faints. Dong Hyun, who was in Pansu's body, then goes home after waking up. At home, he hugs his father, but his father does not recognize him because his soul is trapped in someone else's body. Not long after, Pansu returns home. The three of them sit down together, and Pansu explains what happened. Pansu then asks Dong Hyun to come to my son's place. When they visit my son's house, Boss Yang also arrives to eliminate Pansu. Pansu sends my son and Dong Hyun to another room and fights the thugs. A fight ensues where Pansu, in Dong Hyun's body, fights against the mobsters. Finally, Pansu falls down after being hit by a hydrant by Boss Yang. In a panic, my son immediately goes to the kitchen and brings the gas cylinder in front of them. She threatens Boss Yang and his men, saying that if they don't leave soon, she will kill herself by blowing up the gas cylinder. Yang and his men have no choice but to run away. After the thugs leave, Pansu and my son catch their breath. Pansu looks at my son with admiration and gratitude. Dong Hyun, still in Pansu's body, expresses his concern for his father. Pansu reassures him, promising that they will find a way to switch back to their original bodies and take down Boss Yang once and for all. In the following days, Pansu continues to adapt to his life in Dong Hyun's body while formulating a plan to reclaim his life and protect his loved ones. He trains harder and grows closer to Hyun Jung and my son, forming a bond that he had never expected. The story moves towards a climactic showdown where Pansu, with the help of his new allies, must confront Boss Yang and restore order to his life. A few days later, Pansu's father-in-law invites him over to the house. Since Pansu cannot go in front of them himself, Dong Hyun goes in his place with a microchip in his ear. His wife is also present. During the meeting, Pansu, through Dong Hyun, reveals his wife's infidelity and her conspiracy with Boss Yang to eliminate him. The chip works fine for a few minutes, but when Han asks Dong Hyun about Pansu's second family, it turns off. With no one to communicate with, Dong Hyun is left to make decisions on his own. He says that after returning from the hospital, he has realized that family is the most important thing in the world. Then Pansu, through Dong Hyun, resigns from his job as a mafia boss, effectively removing himself from the Hano group to be with his family. Han respects his decision and lets him go. When Dong Hyun returns to the car, Pansu hugs him, thanking him for doing the right thing. But their happiness doesn't last long as an enraged Seo Yeon hits them with her car. Pansu is severely injured and has to be taken to the hospital. Arriving at the hospital, Pansu, still trapped in Dong Hyun's body, apologizes to Hyun Jung for not being there to watch her grow from childhood to adulthood. Soon he faints, followed by Dong Hyun, who also faints while standing in the hospital corridor. As he is about to undergo surgery, Pansu dreams of the old woman who owned the noodle shop, whom he met before the accident. The old woman tells him to take good care of his family. At the end of the story, Pan-soo wakes up from his coma. 6 months later, he is seen building a restaurant business with My-sun and his daughter Hyun-jung. Dong-hyun is also seen returning to school and going about his routine without fear of being bullied. Everyone respects him and is nice to him. He and Hyun-jung have started dating. All of them, including Jong-ki and Mr. Bang, work together as employees in the new restaurant. The film ends on a happy note, teaching us that family is where we come back to. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.